Really? Okay.
Okay, Rishus the Rav. I'm going to speak about an interesting topic. It's a Ma'aser Shahaya, and it's very, very interesting to look into the sugya, to understand a little bit what the tzaddim are, the kan. So the shaila goes as follows. A lady became from Baruch Hashem, but however her father's a guy. Okay, not a problem. She's still a yid. So Baruch Hashem, it came time for shidduchim, and the question was, somebody wanted to be Metzia Kayin for her. And the shaila is she allowed to get married to the Kayin? So this is Allah Mufresh in the Shulchan Aruch that a Kayin cannot marry a Bas Nachri. Bas Nachri is defined by not the pshat that she's a Bas Nachri, she's not Jewish. Obviously, Bas Nachri is a pshat that the father's a guy. So it's a din by for a Kayin. However, we do find that first of all, it's machlekes in the Rishonim, whether it's an Isra Afilu B'diavad, in Nisis Teitzei, meaning to say that if they got married, that you're stuck, you're not allowed to stay married, and Teitzei. So according to some Rishonim, it's a Chash Isra Deiraisa, and if in Nisei is Teitzei, even if they get married, then you're not allowed to stay married. But according to some Rishonim, there's Bechlal Melchatchila, no Isra to begin with. They are allowed to get married L'chatchila, it's not a problem. Then you have the middle ground, which is the Achra. Many Paiskim that L'chatchila, it's also to do so. However, in Nisei, Leiteitze, if they did get married, then Leiteitze, you do not separate them, they're allowed to stay married. How would you have Eichitim? So how the Rav Masad Kedusha, let's say he didn't know he's a Kohen. Years later down the road, his grandfather told him, by the way, you should know you're a Kohen. And he checked it out and found he's a Kohen, but the Lamais already married her. Then we would say, in Nisei, so Leiteitze, if they already got married, then the halacha is that they are allowed to stay married. But this is all b'diavad, in Nisei, so they actually got married. Then Leiteitze. So the shayla is l'chatchila, are you allowed to do such a thing? So what happened? Very, very interesting. So the original Rav, which was called, said, listen, this is still, you didn't even meet the person, there was no, you weren't even about to get engaged, there was no kiruv at all. You know, in such a case, you should look for another shidduch, because l'ma'aseh l'chatchila Shulchan Aruch paskins, it's also. No, what do you think happened? Obviously, people don't listen. They went ahead and they wanted to get engaged. The problem is they're about to get engaged. Which Rav is going to marry them off? So what do? No, if you want a good hatter, what do? You go Rav hopping. You go to this one, that one, until you find somebody who's going to give you the green light, right? So his grandfather is from, his father is from, and he's from. So you have 3 generations of Chezkas Kehunah. They're already in the system, so to speak, as Kehanim, and they're already established as Kehanim. So they found a Rav that said, oh, your grandfather became from. Oh, he had no nemanos to say that he's a Kohen. Memela, you're all not Kehanim, and you're allowed to get married. So guess what? So they were very excited, very happy. Oh, they can get married. And we'll speak about going to be the topic. We're going to see in the Rishonim. Are you allowed to say such a thing or not? But what happened? The Kasimov was very happy. She was very happy. But the problem is there was still a little Taylor Rishain, and they still went for the Kapayim. They got the paper, but thank you very much, Rabbi. I got what I needed from you. I'm going to live my life as a Kayin, and I'm allowed to marry this girl. This is the Ma'aser Shahaya. So now, when the Rav heard what happened, he says, no, Tati the Sasri, you're not allowed to do this. Either you're a Kohen or you're not a Kohen. There's no games. I'm taking my psako back. You guys are, you're not even listening to me. You came to me for a heter. I gave you a heter, but you're taking my heter and still doing what you want. Goodbye. My psak is null and void. Go find somebody else. So they went to another Rav, obviously. No, right? Once you go shopping, you go shopping. You do it right. So what happened? They went to another Rav. Everybody's married over here. I'll use Lashon HaKodesh and you'll figure out exactly what it means. The Rav said, there was another problem, by the way. There's another problem that she was living with Goyim. That is Mamish Psul. For Kehunah, she's not allowed. That L'chol is the Mamish Insider Nice, you're not. So the worst. There's not even a b'diavad. In Nisis, like Teitze here, it's Nisis Teitze. It's a big problem. A Zayn is a sort of she's not allowed to get married to a Kohen. So that was only Nisgal after. So how did this Rav take care of that? He says, they used the nartik. And I'm not going to translate what that means. You can probably figure out by yourself. And anyways, you have shittas in the Rishonim that say that today's Kahanim, it's a suffix. They're not real Kahanim. We don't know. We really don't know what's going on. Through the history of Klal Yisrael, there were so many Golos. There was Golos here, Golos there. Everything was Nisbalbal. And Halavai, there's no psulim that makes into Klal Yisrael. Halavai, everyone is Yid, is Taka Yid. And but certainly Kehunah is definitely not as the Chazak is not so strong as it used to be back in the day. Umemel, it's only a suffix. And then you have later poskim, the Mashdam and others, the Chezkas, who actually were mitzad of this, the shit in the Rishonim, which is the Rivash and the Marshal, who say like this, that if it's only Nisim Drabanan, then we can be a little bit more meko.
They said mitzad that Kehunah is a shayla?
Yeah.
To be matir chalodim?
No, he's not a chol. We're making him into
to
make him into make a nice
They
kohen.
say this to make someone nice kohen, or they say this to make
Nice kohen.
they say to make nice kohen to allow someone to get married, or I'm afraid now we have a ben, now we have to be making nice kohen. That's what they say.
No, they're using it. In the case of the Marash Dam, there's a shvuya. She was married to a kohen, then she was captured. So he uses sex fake to be matter that maybe that she can still remain married to her husband, not lechatchila. The Marshal and the Marashdan never were matter, and whatever the Rivash and the Chezkas, they never matter, never use this to allow somebody to get married lechatchila to somebody that you're not allowed to get married to. In a case where you're already married, they wanted to save everything, so that's what they relied upon. So over here is a case of lechatchila, they wanted to be matter in such a case. This individual wanted to be matter in such a case based on this savada. What? Yes, very good. And the Marashdam and the Chezkas will only make on the Rabbanon. Very good. Yeah, exactly. So let's speak about it. That's the Ma'aser Shahaya.
How's that not the Rabbanon?
It is the nice person.
They were not.
That Rabbi was not a Christian?
Oh.
No, the Shmuel. That's what they're nice.
Not exactly. We'll speak about it. You had a spec stake over there. Not really. It's a suffix if anything happened. If you have an echad who's now it's not so simple. Well, not. No, we're going to speak about it. What did I want to say? Oh, so what happened? What happened was, so a modern Orthodox rabbi.
Right now?
Yes, it's a big problem. So what happened? What happened was that they found a modern Orthodox rabbi to marry them off, because Lamaisa, the person who gave the letter, was respected in those circles. He is the Talmud Chacham. The problem is now the shliach felt very uncomfortable. It's a shliach who learned the halachas. He knows what's going on, and he was going crazy. He knows her. She came out, grew up in his house, and he didn't know what to do. Mitzad echad, he knows that this psak is completely not acceptable. It's a very strange psak. Mitzad sheni, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to leave her or not? So this was his dilemma. Is he allowed to go to the chasna? The Ma'aser, I think they got married. The Pashas, they got married. Yeah, they did get married. And the shliach was in a dilemma. What is he supposed to do? So let's speak about a little bit, go through the whole sugya, explain the yesodis, the foundations of whether there's any validity to these tainas. Is a kohen today a real kohen? Is he not a real kohen? There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. So let's start with the Shulchan Aruch, simple Shulchan Aruch. Somebody comes today, he has no Chezkas Kehunah. Somebody decided, today I want to be a kohen. The question is, are we going to accept him as a kohen or not? This is the question. So you have Shittas and Mechaber, the Mechaber Paskins. No, if it's only based on his testimony, we're not going to accept it as a kohen. You need a raya. You need to prove that you're a kohen in order to be accepted as a kohen. That's it. If it's only based on your word, that's not something we can rely on. The Rama, on the other hand, which we follow, Kemat is accepted the Pascal like the Rama. But if somebody comes today and he says, kohen ani, the halacha is we're going to be mekabel him as a kohen. Why? What are they arguing about? So the Aruch HaShulchan explains Shittas and Mechaber very, very simple. Kehunah, when it comes to Yiddishkeit, if somebody's a Yid, it's not so chomer. It's not so. If somebody says he's a Yid, he's Neman. The whole sugya behind it, that we can speak about for a different time, because there's no reason to be chayshish for anything. But Kehunah is a little bit more refined. It's something which you need to do more research to really ensure that one is a kohen. Oh, we'll get to that. Very good. The Mechaber continues. Yeah, very good. Well, that's the next point. Yeah. So according to the Mechaber, you're not accepted because you need a raya. Kehunah is something, it means Hashem when Mashiach comes, you're going to have to be dealing with Truma. You're going to be dealing with the inyanim, which are mamish connected to the Sudi Kriso. So it's a very, very serious thing. You got to prove yourself, right? We're not going to be mad to you for to be misasik in these inyanim if you're a fake kohen, so to speak. That's the shit of the Mechaber, the way the Aruch HaShulchan explains. The Rama, on the other hand, is Mekel. He says if somebody says he's a kohen, we're going to believe him, we're going to accept him. And the shaila is, what is the Rama going to answer to the Mechaber's chashash? The Rama is going to answer very pashut. What's going to happen already? If he says he's a kohen, what's going to happen? He's going to be Elu Rishon L'Torah, big deal. And it's his gal is not a kohen. Okay, so he took the kohen's aliyah. No, what's going to happen? For that, you're not going to believe him. That's not the biggest issue. Nesias Kapayim. Oh, that's Taka Shaila, because if you're not a kohen, you're not allowed to do Nesias Kapayim. What are you going to do over there? So on that, we have a few answers. So some achreinim, there's two different answers in achreinim. The first answer is
it issue just the bracha or more than that?
The bracha to bench somebody, but there's kohen, and you're not a kohen, it's also result. That's one problem. So both. Really, it's both. And the bracha, we answer differently because it also comes up by pidyon aben. We're going to have to answer pidyon aben as well. When it comes to, so to making a bracha levatala, fine, is one concern. There's also, Azar is not allowed to bench Yidin, but as a kohen, when he's not a kohen. So what do we have to answer for that? So first of all, the Beis Shmuel writes, we're going to be chayshish for that. When are we going to be chayshish if somebody's lying? When he has enough from it. He's gaining something. To go up, to do Nesias Kapayim, you're not gaining anything from it. Why would you lie? There's no svara why I should be chayshish, then you're a liar. So that's it. The Rama wasn't chayshish. There's no takal that's going to happen because a liar is not going to do it. He's not gaining any benefit. Piskei Tshuva, on the other hand, answers differently. Piskei Tshuva says, no, that's not the reason. He says, really, there is no Issa for Azar to bench Yidin as a kohen. Why not? Because the Issa was dafka in the Beis Hamikdash when they were doing it with the Shem HaMufurish. Today's day and age, you're just saying whatever, Shem Hashem. And you're saying a pasuk at the end of the day. What are you doing? What Issa are you doing already? The bracha, nobody answered, at least in this sugya directly, but it's going to come up when it comes to pidyon aben. Very, very interesting. Yavitz by pidyon aben. We're going to get to that momentarily. So, B'kitzur, there's one more prat that we have to say that even according to the Rama, if it's in a place, it's in a location where they have truma midrabanan, like in Eretz Yisrael, then he's talking about Neman. Why? Because since there is an Isra involved where they were Maila from truma midrabanan to truma, which is midiraisa, then you would have a problem, and he would not be. He wouldn't have a problem. He's not Neman. Bring a proof, right? Oh, could be. We're going to see. There's a minhag. It's not. Yes, that's what's done for this reason exactly. But technically, if he would be able to get his hands on it, he'll say, "Okay, give it to me." That's a problem. The fact that it's noyed truma in this place, that's where the problem begins.
So again, because you can't get benefit either way. It's coming.
Exactly. He'll derive that. The problem isn't so much on the ishtamshus. The problem is once we see that he's taking or he's whatever he's assessing with it, that's the big is a kohen. And from there, you can use it for Midinaisa. So, to be misakim, according to the Mechaber, you're not Neman. You need to bring a raya. According to the Rama, you are Neman, and we're not chayshish for anything. The Sheikh is going to come. Actually, the Aruch HaShulchan explains also the Shidduch Rama. The Aruch HaShulchan says Pashut. What are we worried about? Also, he says also very, very geshmak of chat. He says like this: L'maisa, if somebody says something about themselves, min ha'Torah, they are believed. If you say I am this and this, you're believed. There's no reason why you should lie, right? That's point number one. You're chayshish, v'lasilava. When Mashiach is going to come, you're going to be a kohen. So what's going to happen? Eliyahu is going to pull out the chaver and not kohen, and nothing's going to happen. What's the big deal already? So it says because a person's not going to gain anything, and there's no takola for yuchsa which are going to come down the road. Why should we not believe him? And that's the way the Aruch HaShulchan explains the shita of the Rama. Now, Rabbi Wolf mentioned a very, very important point. We know halacha. There's a very, very important halacha that once you say something about yourself, there's a special din of shavi and avshar chaticha d'yisuda. What does that mean? It means technically nothing was wrong. Everything was mutter. By your speech, by your dibur, you said something, you created the issue for yourself. So if somebody comes and says, Kayanani, I'm a Kayan, I'm coming to shul, I want to be able to rishain, I want to go duchen, I want to do whatever I want to do, but Teres Kayan. So if you're in the shul with the mechaber, what will we tell you? You're not accepted. You don't have a raya, you don't have a chazaka, we're not accepting you. However, now you're stuck. Why? Because the very fact that you're machzik yourself as a Kayan is shavin avshar chaticha d'yisuda. You just created the issue for yourself that you're a Kayan. The longest behind it, we'll leave for a different time. Very, very geschmack. The longest is Al Rebbe, the Cheshchit, and the Kuntis Achren, is the Chasam Sefer, and the Yehuda explaining this din. That's for a different time. That's Allah in this case. You're stuck. Shavi and Avshar Chaticha d'Yisura. You have Lemaisa, you have Ne'emanus to answer yourself. At least for that. So let's think about this case a little bit. Here you have 3 generations of Chezkas Kehunah. The grandfather's a Kohen, the father's a Kohen, and he's a Kohen. Everyone's going the same chazaka. You're going in the same chazaka. You're going the same derech. Everyone's a Kohen. Does the whole machlekes mechaber Rabba even start? The answer is it doesn't. Because what is the mechaber? What are they arguing about? They're arguing about somebody who does not have Chezkas Kehunah, and he wants to be machzik himself as a Kohen. Then you have a machlekes. But if somebody already has a Chezkas mishpach, they're already accepted in the Kehillah. This is already 3 generations you have. You can't do that. You can't pull that card and just say, oh, you're not a Kohen. It doesn't work that way. The Ma'aseh, you b'chazkas Kehunah until you have Shnei Eidim that give Eidos and the Bezdin testifying. We're not to be cheshish. The Ma'aseh, if there's no Eidos that she's a Chavala, then the first Mishnah Makkos. The Ma'aseh, if nobody came forth to Bezdin to testify that she was a Chalala, then she's a whatever, she was a Zaina, Melash, or Bas Chalala, fine. Both cases, then the son is going to be okay. He's a Kohen, and now you're stuck that it's not going to work. You can't just pass on somebody based on a svara kelusha b'yesod to make somebody ois Kohen without any rayos. Okay, let's now delve into the second point that we have to speak about. B'chalal b'chezkas Kehunah b'zman hazeh. How strong is it? Okay, so we already mentioned the Rishonim that touch upon it. Let's start with the first. Madam Malcolm is the Rivash. The Rivash is one of the Rishonim. The Rivash writes, today's day and age, nobody has Megillas Yuchsin. Nobody can go back all the way to a Kohen, which was Eivid al Gabi and Mizbeach. There's no way to prove anything today's day and age. Memela, today, it's not a Vadai Kohen. You're not 100%. It's not a, I want her to die using the Lashon, ironclad Chazaka. It's not an ironclad chazaki. It's not 100%. It's okay. You're b'chezkas Kehunah, but don't get a hold of yourself because the mice we don't really know. We're going to accept you as a kohen l'chumra, but lav dafka actually a kohen. That's a shit of the Rivash. The Marshal also says like this, as we mentioned earlier. The Marshal writes that today's day and age, because of Reha Golus, everyone was already misbabbled with everyone. You thought you're a Kohen, you're not a Kohen. You thought you're this, you're not that. You thought you're a Levi, you're not a Levi. Or Yisrael is really a Levi, whatever. Everybody's mixed in together. There's nobody keeping track, and nobody knows who's who. It's a Safek Ehanim, the Nafkamina that come out of it, is what the Leida Achreinim used this Svar and the Rishonim, that the Maisa they were makel on in Issa D'Rabbanan to be matched. But before we get to Issa D'Rabbanan, we have to speak a little bit in Hilchas Chala. Afrashas Chala, there's a minhag officially out of Pesach. You're supposed to give the Chala to the Kohen. Today's day, have you ever heard of such a thing? Anybody doing it? Never heard of, right? Unheard of. Nobody does it. Why not?
We burn it.
We burn it. Very good. Why do we burn it? Why don't we give it to a Kohen? L'chayra, you want to pull out the problem of Tumah? Okay, it's only a Tumah Yetz Megufay. So if it's a cotton, we're not chayshish for that. Why don't you give the challah to a kohen which is a cotton? There's no problem with Tumah Yetz Megufay. The answer, which the Magen Avram and the Taz both say, is based on the Rivash and the Marshal, because we don't really know if it's a real kohen. Since he's not a kohen miyuchas, you're going to be machshel him. He's going to eat it. Okay, since the Rabbanan, fine, but l'maisa you're going to be machshel him. So since today's day and age we don't have Kehunah, which are Chasim, L'chumra, we're going to be Cheshish, not to be Machshel, another Kohen. So technically, based on this Magen Avraham and the Taz, which bring the Marshal and
Even if it's less than Tuvia.
okay, they didn't touch upon that. They didn't get into that. So based upon this, what do we already see from here? We see that sometimes in the sugya you have Rishonim which never made it onto the page of the Shulchan Aruch. The Shitta was never accepted l'halacha l'maisa. The Beis Yosef may quote it and say "Ein halacha kain," whatever it is, and it finishes there. It never continues into the later achreinim. It's never accepted in the mainstream line of Psak. Over here, on the other hand, the Rivash and the Marshal actually did make it to Magen Avraham and the Taz. So l'chayda we see that there is a chashash al kopanim that maybe we should be cheshish, right? The answer is not so simple. You can't use that as a raya, as we're going to see momentarily. So that's where it starts from the Magen Avraham, and that's where it starts from the Taz. And as we mentioned earlier, the Manash Dam and the Shvus Yankov or Mekel or anything which is an Isra D'Rabbanan for a Kohen to marry, if something happened, and the Isra is only Isra D'Rabbanan, there's Semech on the Rivash. No. B'diavad. You're not allowed to look at Chila. They're already married, and you don't want to break them apart, whatever it is. Then that's when we're saying to be mad to look at Chila for what? What are you gaining, right?
Engage considered a filler.
It's a machlekes. The simple halacha is no. It's nisas takes. The shani is there's another shit that holds. If they're so close together, it can be already considered as b'diavad. But it's not so simple. Rabbi didn't hold this way. Many didn't hold this way. Where is it going? Oh. So the Manash Dam and the Rivash say, fine, on the Isra D'Rabbanan, whatever, B'shas B'chak, whatever it is, they make a svek sveikel, hakol, and they were actually saying on the shit of the fine. There's an unbelievable Yavitz. He writes a fascinating thing. He says, how far do we take it? By pidyon ben. Right? What happens? You have to give the kohen whatever. And the last it works, fine. You're supposed to be paid the bechar from the kohen, right? The Yavitz writes, he says, the kohen's not allowed to give the money. Why? Because he could be stealing. How do you know you're a kohen? He says the kohen, it's karev levada, you have to give the money back. Because today's day and age, you can't even say with a certainty that you're a kohen, and now it's karev to give it back to the father of the child. And really, it's on the father of the child to keep going and try to be paid every single opportunity that he could. And he says, whoever is married to a Bas Kohen, whoever is a Levi, they should keep doing pidyon ben until whatever, because you never know. Maybe you're not a Levi. Maybe your wife is not a Bas Kohen. Maybe the Kohen that you went to is not really a Kohen, and you're mamish stuck. So you have to keep going, doing pidyon ben, whatever, until there's actually also to do that. Officially, I don't know if it's true. They say that Nachman Plavkovsky used to do that. We paid the what?
I sell gold coins.
So every person you see.
Yeah, maybe everybody in the room can, but you don't know about it. Right? Yeah, you never know. Everything is so valuable. So that's the shit of the Yavitz. We have Rabbi Tzadok HaKoyen. He says actually very, very differently. He says the only honest living I ever made in my life was opinion of Ben. He's a Kohen. Rabbi Tzadok HaKoyen Lublin was a Kohen, and he said on it, he used mamish the opposite of the Yavitz wrote. He said the only honest living I ever made was from pidyon ben.
Yeah.
What? He kept it. Sure, he kept it. Not only that, the first time I heard a shir on this topic was from Rabbi Rees. Whatever, he's a Kohen, and he was very upset. He says, "My Messiah is not like the Yavitz. My father kept the money, and I also keep the money." So.
Yeah, okay.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't speaking about himself. No. How?
Some people that know.
Okay. So the
We
question
have the customer. We have a right to brother.
Chezkas. Yeah. So back in the day, they didn't have DNA testing. Today's day and age, yeah. So.
Your name's reliable?
No, no.
Yeah, you can see by DNA who's a Kohen.
Gaines and Aisha also did this, or
Okay, so let's go weiter. So the Maisa that many poskim, a whole Rishima poskim, they were chaylik, mamish, very, very sharp. The Knesset Chezkas says today, Re'isi B'Ktas Tshuva is, and I also heard from some Rabbanim that want to be Meko because today the Kehanim are not real Kehanim. Yeah, V'chosli Loimar Kain, and you already made Lachais, and Al Yichel Keimon Riyas Chas V'Sholem Af Snif L'Daitam, he writes. The mainstream accepted psak is nobody accepted this la halacha l'maisa. If somebody says he's a kohen, that means he's a kohen l'chol davar. He's fully accepted. That we don't paskin at all like these shittas. You're going to ask me, what do you mean? L'maisa, the Magrav Ram the Taz did bring it. What's it had? It's very powerful. If there's a chashash isser, you're going to do an isser, you're going to be machshel somebody. Okay, so maybe the gabi isser would be more careful. Otherwise, today's Kehunah is fully accepted. There's no Yerudim, there's nothing. We don't accept these shittas at all. That is the consensus of Kemat Rebinyan and Rebinyan Apaskim. It's only a miyuta, the miyuta, who are saying on this. And even the Manashdam and the Shvus Yankiv, there was mamish in specific cases where they're already married, not to Chalila break apart an existing home, an initial home. They were saying on such a thing, but sit up to other sniffing. Now, so that's going to answer. So first of all, we can't even pull out the card around him because the Mechaber says if you're not a kohen, to be machzik yourself as a kohen is not so simple, right? Over here, that's what we're talking about. We have a chazak already. He's already established and known in the Kehillah as a kohen. That's it. You're finished. You can't even pull out the Mechaber. First of all, second of all, according to the Ramah, even if you did not have Chezkas Kehunah, you're good to go. Rabbi side point number 3. Even if we're not going to accept him, even if you're going to go to the Mechaber, it's not so simple. Because even the same Mechaber, the same Sif continues and he writes, if he was machzik himself, l'chumra as a kohen, he just messed himself up, so to speak. Now he's a l'chumra, a kohen for everything, but we're not going to accept him without a raya. But he's still not allowed to marry somebody who's a possible Kehunah. So, Pashut, from reading the simple Shulchan Aruch, you can't do this. If he's a kohen, we cannot be mad to such a thing. Now,
Did you ever get an aliyah for it?
Sure he did, big time. Not just him, his father and his grandfather. Sure. And not only that, we mentioned earlier.
They got him lady also.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, what's worse was when he received the psak that he's not a kohen, he continued going rishon for the Torah. Because he just wanted the psak he wanted. He didn't buy what the rabbi said.
So according to the Mechaber, we don't accept him. So
according to the Mechaber, we would not accept him.
So
But here, he's already accepted.
So can you get an Yisrael aliyah?
Yes, yeah, sure. He's accepted as he is, 100%.
But no, he's stepped in only as the Yisrael. There's no suffix that he's a kohen even. He's considered not a kohen.
Correct. Without a raya, according to Mechaber, correct. Without a raya, we won't accept him. Correct. Now, let's go to the next point, which we need to speak about. Iruv, which I believe Rabbi Kotlarsky mentioned earlier. What do we do about an Iruv? Right? So we have somebody now. This is really what's going to get our din over here. Because Lamaisa, we're dealing with somebody who has a chazaka. So the Didan, so far, is 100% a kohen without any suffix in the world. And there's no room to be meko for such a person. Now, what happens if somebody has a chazaka that they're already a kohen? Are you allowed, what would it take, so to speak, to take away his Chezkas Kehunah? So, Lemaisa, the halacha is, if it's Shtei Eidim, that's what you need. You need Shtei Eidim to give testimony. They have to go and be made in Bezdin that we saw that his mother is a Bas Chalala, or she was a Zayn, or whatever it is, something that will passel him from being a Kohen. Or they can give Eidus that the father is not a Kohen, and obviously the Bezdin is going to do their due diligence to actually verify that the Eidus is true, but you need Shtei Eidim. Let's think about it over here. If the halacha is you need Shtei Eidim, what do you have over here? Nothing. You don't even have Eid Echad, right? You have a Svara Klusha Ba'alma, which has no really bearing to it at all, that you're using a Svara to passel him is not really a Kohen, without any Eidus, without any Rayas, nothing. So over here, Rabbi said it's even better because you don't even have an Irur on him.
You don't have even any Eidim on her. Possible.
Well, by her, she was made to it. No, first of all, we know that the father's a guy. No, whatever. The father's a guy. So anyways, maybe he's a Yid. Maybe he's a guy. Not just a guy. Maybe he's a Yisrael and he's a...
The father is not the real issue. The real issue is other stuff that you said.
No, you're not allowed to do it. It's Nisir Letetze. You're not allowed to do
Hey,
it.
but you said there's a whole bunch of
The problem is also that she's a
yeah.
Zaina. The problem is we would believe her. That's already how you would believe her. This is already in all the tshuvas about college, all the admissions, and all of the. If a Jewish woman went to college back in the day, this was a big heter that many Rabbanim were saying that to save, and she got married to a kohen. It came from. What are you going to do? So there, it's not so simple because she is a son of Kehunah. He's a kohen. The shaila is about the child. About the child, he's a kohen. He became from, and he married somebody who's son of Kehunah. That's what many were saying about the fact that he went to college with Kehunah. So the whole sugya you'll see in those tshuvas of how exactly they dealt with it, how she has been honest to pass on herself, because it's not so simple. The din of yakir that you can pass on your child was only a din which is given to the father. The mother doesn't have an honest to pass on her child. Oh, there's a fascinating story I want to tell you. Now that we're on the topic, let's do it. This is sidetracking a little bit. There's a fascinating shaila, a Brandstorfer. Anybody heard of a Brandstorfer in Yerushalayim? They raise some. Yeah. If you don't have the Nukudas, everyone's going to read Kana B'Shem. But he was really the Knei Beisim. The Knei Beisim was a very, very chashuv place in Yerushalayim. And his son, put out a whole set of Sfarim, Heichel Heira. And in the set of Heichel Heira, he writes an unbelievable Maisa, which is very hard to understand. He said that he had a couple come to him, to the father. They became from. He was a kohen, but she was a zaina, meaning she was with a guy before they got married. And they're coming to ask, Zad Hashem, what do we do? When they became from. Are they allowed to stay married or not? The Knei Beisim said, you're stuck. You have to get divorced.
Wow.
And his son was going crazy. Couldn't understand the psak of his father. She has no ne'emanus. The Ramah says very, very clearly later on in Ibn Ezra that if she says something that is mezaneh, we don't believe her. Maybe she wants to marry somebody else. Whatever the lumdus behind it is, she doesn't have ne'emanus.
In those days,
Hold on. You're pulling it up nation. We're not going that way. We're going to take a different kivun. She was going crazy. He says, she's not ne'emanus. It's mamash after Ramon Shulchan Aruch. How could he have given such a psak? And it was bothering him for a very, very long time. How did his father pass him this way? Later on, I guess he got the courage to ask him. Back in the day, today we have chutzpah. We have no problem asking questions on people older than us. But I guess he had more derech eretz. So he finally got the courage to ask. And he says, he told him, you're wrong. The raya that you want to bring Makula is not a raya in our case. He says, why not? He says, if they didn't know anything before they got married, and then they got married, then she wants to marry somebody else, so she's coming with a taina, really masura to you. Over here, they weren't frum. He knew the schayra he was getting. He knew that she was already with other people in college. You can't say the sort of shema nasna ina ba'acher. That's why you can't be saying on that Ramah. He's mechuy l'gadish. The fascinating thing is, because they're Makabbal's psak with such a Kabbalah sales, unbelievable. Today's day and age, you would do like we said in this case, you would go around shopping. You wouldn't. Nobody would even Makabal such a psak. You go around until you find the answer you want. The Maisa, this couple, they didn't have a bracha for children, and they were Makabal the psak that they received from the Knei Beisim. Both of them remarried in a very short time, and both of them were zeicha to build very, very large mishpachas. Which is very together. There's no children. They remarried to other people. They found another match, and Baruch Hashem had big families. As well. I see it doesn't end. There's more to talk about. Okay, Isha Zayin and Kehunah. So that we already explained is something which is not acceptable. One more prat, again, I'm going to speak Lashon HaKodesh, and everyone's going to use their imagination of what it means. The last sniff, which the third Rav really mentioned was, anyways, they're Mashamish with an artic, so she doesn't become Summa L'Kehunah. So does this have any validity? Somebody else will tell you. I'm not going to translate. Somebody will whisper to you.
We didn't hear what you said.
I'm not going to repeat it. The last, somebody else will whisper. I don't want to say. You'll figure it out. So, there's a tshuva of the Mishnah Socher. Actually, the grandfather of all the Tachtels was the Baal Mishnah Socher, was a Pesach, I believe in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken. So he has a whole tshuva. It's not just him, but he received a sefer from a Rav, and he saw that this Rav wrote such a tzad to be makel that the fact that you're Misham Shetanartik, this should be you don't pass on. There's no psul of arais if such a thing took place. So he went mamish on the whole rant that this is partially incorrect. It's not, you can't even mitzanifit the whole psul. When does a psul take place? If there's a suribiyah, as soon as there's hanaz biyah. As soon as there's hana, it doesn't make any difference if there's a nartik, there's no nartik, it makes no difference. That itself makes the psul. And he's meinich b'tuv tam, completely being shayl of this. Many other places everyone says, everybody, not much everybody says, you can't even be semich on it as a sniff, it's completely worthless. And you cannot be semich on that as a tzad to be mekom. So obviously over here, 0 plus 0 does not equal a heter. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 also doesn't equal a heter. Every single tzad that they tried to maneuver around, it just did not work. So, okay, we'll end there. What's the show?
So what are you talking about? The question wasn't to shoot the question was
If you're allowed to go to the chasna, I'm trying to think what happened over there. He was the shliach was very, very, very hurt and very upset, and he did not want to go.
We have to start off with that. Shliach, if there's anything, he doesn't have to go to the chasna.
I'm trying to, it was a few years ago. I don't think he went in the end. I don't think he went. Are you allowed to go to such a chasana? That's a good shayla because the ma'aseh they have a psak that they're allowed to get married. So you're not giving a psak. You're not gonna. It's not your fault, so to speak. You didn't do anything wrong. The shayla is: are you allowed to go? Okay, so they're doing what they think is a ma'aseh, which is a heter. Is there a problem? Oh, misayeh or every aveda. So it depends. If you know for a fact that the first Rav that gave the psak was Bamish Taya, the first mission Herius, right? If you Yoda, if the Talmud or one of the Charei Bezdin knows that the other Rabbanim were Taya, they made a mistake, the halacha is, and he went ahead and he listened to the psak, he's chayiv, because he should have known better. So by Pashtus, he would say that over here. He went to the sugya, he knows that this is completely bogus, and there's not what to be saying.
That's not doing he's not being kaddish.
You are misayeyol evrei avera. You're going and giving validity to something which is awesome. That's the problem. You're not making the kedushim. You're giving validity for some. That's why a shliach cannot go. Not have an open head. He can't go to every single event in the city because sometimes there's a problem with it. But you going,
if there was a
psak,
you know that they're wrong. You know that they're wrong.
No, that's why we just brought the Mishnah of Hadias. If you know they're wrong, and he consulted with 20 different rabbanim to find out something, and everybody told him this is how much did they pay it off? That was the answer. So he knows they're wrong. So you can't just be saying it as a psak. That's the first mission of Hadias. You can't be saying it. Okay, very good. Yeah.
Whoever wants is more of this stuff in Divrei Tuvia found in the local store, Jewish Judaica store.
Divrei Tuvia.
What time is that today? What time?